My name is Mora. Welcome to my channel, my little corner of YouTube here at the lakeside casita in Mexico. My dogs and I have been living in Mexico for 1 year. As of tomorrow, it's our anniversary from the day we drove away from Oregon to live in Mexico. My two dogs, Olive and Vigo, are here with me and we're gonna celebrate our anniversary. Mexico is a great place to live. I mean, beaches, the great weather, the great food, the really nice people. There's so much to be said about Mexico, and despite Mexico's being one of the top locations for expats to go, especially from the United States, there are some downsides and it leads to people leaving after a while. The dogs are already excited because the squirrels are out today. Anyway, I read this giant expat survey from Internations I want to tell you about. I will link the source in the notes below the video, but according to this survey, people are very happy to live in Mexico as expats, with nearly 9 out of 10 expats reporting happiness far exceeding the global average, which is only 58% satisfaction. Still, it seems like the majority of expats who come to Mexico and other places eventually return home to the States. This phenomenon raises an important question. If life is so great in Mexico, why do so many Americans go back to the United States? Mexico's appeal is undeniable. Wonderful weather, gourmet food, fresh seafood, wonderful people. There's just so many nice things about it. A slower, relaxed pace of life is really appealing to me at this point in my life. And a lot of people are even more social once they get here from out of the country than they were back home. It's like a new place to reinvent yourself, and people do so by meeting other expats and locals and having a great time. The lower cost of living is also nothing to sneeze at. First, it seems people go through the honeymoon phase. They make the giant leap, they come to Mexico to live, and hopefully they've found an awesome spot, whether it's at the beach or in the mountains or in the big city. And there's a period of time where everything is new and exciting and happy. Maybe I've been going through that myself in the last year. Tomorrow is my 1 year anniversary from driving away from Oregon and coming to Mexico. 1 whole year, yay! It's been a great year. And the slower pace of life just seems so nice. Everybody is just relaxed about waiting in lines or getting things done. You don't have to freak out about it. My incidence of road rage has gone down dramatically. According to the survey, one expat says, "I caught on pretty quickly that the locals are in no hurry to do most things. Tourists would become agitated really fast. Why was the boat not leaving when it said they would? I overheard a local boatman saying to someone, 'Why are you so angry? You are getting this boat to an island to lie in the sun and relax. Why do you think you can't do that while you wait?'" There's just a different attitude towards time and getting things done. So it's an adjustment. And if you are here long enough, the novelty and the slower pace, the joy of all that may wear off. Initially, this Mexican time feels refreshing to Americans like me, but eventually it could be wearing on you, especially if you're really trying to get things done, like building a house or getting some visa paperwork taken care of. You may get a little tired of the mañana attitude. Everyday practicalities can get on people's nerves. Everything from infrastructure to transportation. For instance, if you didn't have a car here, I can't imagine it being possible with an animal, because animals are not allowed on buses. And even though the bus system is apparently really great with really nice buses and on-time schedules that go almost everywhere, you cannot bring your animals. So I've talked to people who want to come to Mexico, but they say they want to do it without a car, but they have pets. It's a little hard to imagine how you could do that unless you have a lot of money to pay drivers every day or almost every day to get you around. Another thing people might have to adjust to is the lack of bicycle safety here. If you're really into riding your bike and it's a daily practice for you to get around, you might reconsider that here in Mexico. I think it could be dangerous. The unpredictability of driving here, the many potholes in the road, the treacherous bumps and topes could lead to a very scary ride in Mexico. So if you're really into your bike, you might have to reconsider that. No bike lanes at all. Speaking of that, regulatory inconsistencies can make you doubt what you're doing in Mexico sometimes. Everything from housing standards to enforcing laws and general safety standards don't seem to be enforced here in Mexico, which might initially make you feel like you have a lot more freedom, which I love that. But on the second hand, if you're, for instance, buying a house and there are no safety standards or lax safety standards, how do you know your house is going to be as structurally sound as you wish it would be? These things might not seem like a big deal, but over time it can lead to a feeling of unpredictability and lawlessness in Mexico. Another issue that many expats talk about is trash. Trash on the side of the road, trash in the parks and on the streets. They say many of the lakes here are very polluted. I don't know if there's environmental standards that are kept up. And Mexicans just in general seem to have a different relationship with trash. Although my neighborhood is very clean overall, there's frequently just wrappers and Coke bottles and cups left over from last night's pasajata where people are walking around, and it's not really the standard that we're used to in the United States as far as cleanliness and environmental protection. Another reality you might consider is the weather. I love the weather here, especially in the mountains. It's one of the biggest draws for me. The summers are dramatic with lightning and thunderstorms, and the winter has been so beautiful. Highs in the upper 70s during the day and really chilly at night, which is perfect for me and the dogs. But if you have your heart set on living at the coast and that's your idea of Mexico living is at the beach, I don't blame you. I love it and it's beautiful. But you should definitely try a summer there before you invest any money in a house or decide to live there permanently. I know many people who thought they would like to live in Puerto Vallarta or Cancun or one of the smaller towns around those places, but when you get to April and May and June, it's a different story. It's intensely hot, it's intensely humid, the bugs come out, and for me and my dogs, it was not workable. So I was so glad to find other spaces in Mexico that I absolutely love. Up in the mountains, here near Pátzcuaro, we're about 7,000 feet in the air, and I haven't felt any adverse reaction to the altitude, but I love the weather. It's so beautiful. Both dogs appear to be getting ready for summer and they are shedding like crazy. Look at this fur on the ground. Let's be real. There's a bird out there making a lot of noise. Who is that bird? But even if you've mastered the art of living in Mexico, there are some heartstrings to the north that could feel like they're pulling you back. I mean, you could miss your nephew's graduation or somebody's wedding, and of course you can go back, but it's not inexpensive and it's not the same as being there in person. Some expats describe an expat guilt for not being home with their families, and I understand that. And it's weird when your mother sends you a wish you were here photo of the family and you're just not there. It kind of hits you differently at year 3 than it does at month 3. Luckily, Mexico is right next door to the United States, so you can go back and forth, but it's not inexpensive and it's not really the same as being there for the daily lives of the people you care about. And then there's the expat community itself. It can feel like an ever-expanding and revolving door of wonderful people and really interesting people who come and go in your area. Once you get used to your little margarita crew, it can feel like everybody's announcing that they're about to go back to Minnesota. Or in my case, it was mezcal and Michigan. The truth is that some Americans see Mexico as a chapter in their lives, a beautiful, transformative chapter, but not the final page in their book. Healthcare is another reality check. While Mexico offers really good healthcare, it's ranked 22nd in the world, which is not too shabby. Many expats, as they get older, start thinking about going home to their familiar medical care system. If you've got a chronic disease or some illness and you're just getting older, what's comforting could be what you're used to, and it doesn't matter if you've got a great beach view. Sometimes you just want to go home. I'm from the west coast of the United States, and many of us there find older buildings and older towns very charming. Even back in the United States on the East Coast, where buildings are maybe 200 or 300 years old, we just find it so adorable. And that's why so many of us love Europe and other places where there are small alleyways and cute old buildings and older architecture. It's just beautiful. Mexico has a lot of that, but some people, when they see the old buildings, are like, it's old. Not always as well kept as you might like. However, for many of us, it's very charming. But along with that, sometimes comes antiquated infrastructure. If you move into a place that doesn't have adequate heating or cooling, you might start to feel it and appreciate what you had back home more often. Sometimes electricity can be unreliable. In fact, even here where I have a pretty modern little casita, in the summertime when there's electrical storms, the electricity can go out on a daily basis, if only for a few minutes. So some people describe Mexico as paradise and others see it like it's old. Let's talk about something not often mentioned in Mexico guidebooks, and that is the soundtrack of Mexico, the noise factor. Even in what appears to be tranquil rural areas, Mexico has its own distinctive soundtrack. Dawn announces itself with roosters crowing, dogs seem to engage in neighborhood-wide barking conversations throughout the day and night. Church bells, fireworks celebrating countless saints' days, and impromptu fiestas with music blasting until the early morning hours are simply part of the cultural fabric. In more urban areas, add street vendors, loudspeakers, traffic noise, construction, and the general buzz of a population that lives much of its life outdoors, and you have a noise level that many Americans find a bit overwhelming. I love everything about Mexico except the noise, says one expat from Vermont. After 2 years, I still haven't adjusted to fireworks at 5 a.m. The noise factor highlights a fundamental cultural difference. Many Mexican communities prioritize communal celebration and expression over individual tranquility. What registers as inconsiderate noise pollution to some American sensibilities is often just the sound of community life to locals. Earplugs and sound machines become essential purchases, but they're temporary fixes for what is ultimately a permanent feature of Mexican life. Oh my God, the dogs are going crazy, so if you hear them, please forgive me. Perhaps the biggest reason Americans and other foreigners go home from Mexico is the safety factor. It's probably the most significant factor there is, at least for me and many other people I've talked to. Less than 2/3 or 66% of expats in Mexico feel safe, compared to 4 out of 5 expats in the whole world. This underlying tension can create frustration and exhaustion in people who are even the most enthusiastic transplants. Safety threats come in various forms. It's Augie. They're crazy today. Safety issues come in various forms, from cartel activity to pickpockets. Luckily, I haven't had any experience with those sort of things, thankfully. But it does wear on my mind being in 𝐕𝐤𝐻𝐭, and I know other people are feeling the same way. It's hard to know if you should read all the news because much of what happens in Mexico is very far away from where I am. At the same time, you want to feel informed, and safety is a concern. In the Expat Insider survey, Mexico's position at 25th place overall for quality of life accurately reflects this complex reality. The exceptional happiness rankings speak to Mexico's tremendous appeal, while the modest overall ranking acknowledges the practical challenges. For many foreigners in Mexico, the solution is not permanent residency here, but a hybrid approach. If they can do it economically, they come for a season or a few months in Mexico and maintain a home back in the United States. This isn't feasible for everyone. It's not feasible for me, and I've made the choice to live in Mexico and I don't regret it. It's hard to find any statistics on how many Americans and in fact foreigners actually live in Mexico, let alone how many live here for a while and then return back. A lot of people I talk to plan to stay for the rest of their lives. And in fact, healthcare is so good, and end-of-life care is good, and assisted living is also good here. So there are many reasons we might want to stay for the rest of our lives. Still, other Americans and foreigners find a reason to go home, even if it's just being homesick and missing their families. Either way, Mexico is a delight. I'm so happy to be here. Tomorrow is my 1-year anniversary, and me and the dogs are gonna find a way to celebrate without any fireworks. This weekend is a big fiesta in the neighborhood because spring is here. And so there's gonna be a lot of cohetes, a lot of noise, a lot of music in the neighborhood. And I did not really plan ahead to take care of Olive. I mean, I wish I could have gotten out of town for a few days, but we're going to be here and I'm going to comfort her as best I can with all the loud noises. I remembered I had this I got it before we left the States because I was hoping that it would help both of the dogs endure the long car rides more easily. And I can't remember it working that great, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna give it a try this weekend when there's all this noise gonna happen. I'm very nervous today because today is the day my sister in Oregon is going to try to re-rent out my house without me there. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. So I'm comforting myself with an extra cup of coffee. That is a scorpion. A little bit of Mexican chocolate. It's hard to say if most Americans will go back to the States eventually after their time in Mexico. There doesn't seem to be any record keeping on this sort of thing, but the people I talk to here love Mexico just like I do. So if you're thinking about coming to Mexico, I encourage you to give it a try. Mexico is a wonderful country. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.